Ciao besties, welcome back to my channel. How have you been? I know that it's been a minute since I posted, but today I'm back with a video about a really interesting topic, I would say. I see a lot of designers working and doing things in many different ways. Everyone has their own method. So I want to share my thoughts and my process when it comes to organizing files and sharing them with clients. But before jumping in, if this is your first time here and you like all things design, then you should definitely subscribe to the channel. I post content like this all the time. Says the person who literally hasn't uploaded in a month. Anyway, organizing files. I always talk about the importance of a client system, but having the final step figured out, so knowing how to send all those files in an organized and efficient way, is such an essential part of it. We know how big and heavy those final folders can be, so why do all that work to keep everything in line if you have to undo it to actually send it, you know? Of course, there are quite a few services and tools to share files with clients or with anyone, but at least for me, one problem that I come across a lot is storage space. You either don't have enough of it or you have to pay for an upgrade. But I recently discovered a tool that completely erases this issue, and it actually gives you even more solution to this kind of problems. I'm talking about Playbook, the sponsor of today's video. How can I describe Playbook? It's like a mix between Pinterest, Google Drive or Dropbox, and Notion. It is a creative cloud storage where you can organize, tag, and share all types of files. But the coolest thing about it is that their free program for creators comes with 4 terabytes of storage. It has so many amazing features that honestly I don't even know where to start, so I thought I could show you how I package entire brand design projects and get them ready for clients. This is the Playbook homepage. First of all, their branding is so cute, I love it. But anyway, let's log in and let's look at my board. For the purpose of this video, we're going to use a branding that we have actually created on this channel, the basic beach, and we're going to treat it as if it was a real client. This is the board that I created to send the final files to our client. The most important thing that I do when I prepare files for clients is making sure that I organize all of them in different folders, so I know and they know exactly where to find each file at all times. As you're seeing here, we have the logo suite, the color palette, typography, photography and videos, social media, and then at the very end we have the brand guidelines. Let's start with the logo suite, which is probably the most important part of all of this. In this board that I created on Playbook, I decided to create some subboards for each variation of the logo. There are so many files that you need to send to clients, so having them in subboards is actually better to find exactly what you're looking for. In this branding specifically, we didn't have a secondary logo, so we just have the primary logo and the logo mark. But when you're sending files to your client, you cannot send just the PNGs, SVGs, or JPEGs. You need to send also the vector files, because once you're giving your branding to your client, all the rights and everything goes to them. So they have to have the ability to edit, change the logo, or use it even for different purposes in the future. In this case, I'm giving my client the AI file, so the Illustrator file, and also the EPS file, which is another type of file that you can send for vector-based programs. And the cool thing about Playbook is that you can add so many different types of file, so you don't have to send them via email or anything like that. Everything can just be on this board and the client can just have access to it. They can click on it and they can use the download button and just download it directly. Now, if we take a closer look at the subboard of the logo mark, I created some groups based on the types of file that I'm sending, because as we have just established, you cannot just send one type of file. So in this case, I'm sending the PNGs and the SVGs. We could also send a JPEG, but I don't think that is needed for this branding specifically. So here I created some groups, and if I click on the group, you can see all the different variations of the logo. On Playbook, you can also add tags. So for example, in this case, I added logo marks. So if the client is just looking for all the logo marks, they can just search the tag and have access to it very easily. Moving on, we have the color palette, which is actually such a cute feature that Playbook has, because how many times have you had your client ask you for the color codes, even if you've given them in the brand guidelines and literally in every other step of the process? I don't know about you, but this happens to me a lot. So I feel like having a separate folder just with the colors and the color codes is so important, because it allows your client to use the colors more efficiently. Here on Playbook, we have a feature that actually allows you to add color swatches. So if you click on here, add, you can just click the color and you can add either the hex codes, the CMYK, the Pantones, which is honestly a game changer, and also gradients. If you click on a color, you get the color name, which is so cute. And also you have the color code, which you can copy and paste like this. I feel like adding the color names is such a cute thing because I always do this also in my presentations. I think it adds a little bit more personality to the color and it kind of establishes a bigger connection with the brand and the color palette. Next up, we have the typography. Now, this is a very underrated folder or board that you should always add to your final files, because typography is such a key element of branding. And if your client doesn't use the brand fonts, everything could just fall apart. It doesn't matter if they're using the colors or the logo, type is such a key element of branding. This kind of depends on the fonts that you're using. For example, if you're using a font that is free for commercial use, you can just add it to the files, or if they have to purchase a commercial license, you can just give them a link to do that. In this case, I have Montserrat, which is a font free for commercial use, so I just added it and the client can just download it from here. Or in the other case, this font Genti needs to be purchased, so I just gave them a link and they can just click. And on Playbook, you can do that by just clicking add, and here you have a section called web link and you can just link the page. Another interesting folder is photography and videos. We often create photos for websites or for social media, and especially nowadays, a lot of content is video content for brands, so it's important to have a separate folder for that. But now let's say that you're not quite finished yet and you're still in the process of creating everything and going back and forth with your client for feedback. Playbook could actually be used also as a client portal, because first of all, your client can have access to the board by just sharing the link or inviting them as a collaborator. Your client will also have the ability to leave a comment or react to something, which is very useful for feedback. Now, for example, let's say that I made this image and I want to share it with my client to see if they liked it. The first thing that I'm going to do is change the status of this picture to in review. Once my client gets access to it, they can either leave a comment and say, yay, love it, or they can react to it and approve it like this. But this process could be streamlined even more by using the Kanban feature on Playbook. If you go here, you can change the view to Kanban view. This way, your client can visually see where you're at with the project, where everything is going, what needs to be reviewed, where it has been approved, where you're working on. This is basically why we use client portals in the first place. So we could move the pictures and say that this one has been approved and these ones need a revision. Now, last but not least, we have the social media board, which as you're seeing, it's empty. And that's because I want to upload things with you to show you how easy it is. So when I create social media content for the brands that I work with, usually I make stories and feed posts. Those are the essentials. So let's start with that. Here I'm going to drag and drop the stories first. I want everything to be separate and organized. So what I'll do is I'll group them like we did with the logo mark. All I have to do is just drag a file over another. And here I have a group that I can just name and write stories. And I can even tag them and say social media. And now I'm going to do the same for the IG posts. One thing that I started to do recently, which I absolutely adore, is GIFs. I feel like GIFs give that little extra to the branding. They make everything so much more fun, and it's a cool way to kind of engage the audience a little bit more when they're watching the stories. As I said, on Playbook, you can add so many different types of files, so you can just add all of your GIFs here and you can group them like we did with the other things. So adorable, I love it. But probably the most important thing that you have to add in this folder is a way to actually edit these templates. When it comes to posts, you cannot make literally every single post that the brand is going to make. You will make templates. So you have to give your client a way to edit your template. And what a better way to have everything all in one place than to add a link to the tool that you used to create these templates. In this case, I'm going to just click here, add a web link, and then I'm going to link directly the page where the client can edit all their templates. So once you're done with everything, you can just click the share button and you can either share the link via email, or you can invite your client in as a collaborator so they can do all those cool things that we just talked about. But this is not just about clients. I mean, if you're working with a team, if you run a studio, or if you're used to working with multiple people, you can just add all of them as collaborators and you can literally speed up the process so much and just have a smoother workflow. And again, with 4 terabytes available, you don't really have to worry about storage. So you can also use it for personal reasons like your personal branding. Of course, I know that you've been wondering that if you want to sign up, you can do that by using the first link in my description and you will get 4 terabytes and a new Creative Hub all for free. Just give it a try and let me know what you think. So yeah, I hope that this video was helpful and it showed you how important it is to have everything organized in the most efficient way for your clients so that they're ready to use the branding once you're finished with it. And you know, as designers, we have a lot of files, so it's good to have a system. Speaking of clients, we talked about the last step, so sending the files, but what happens before that? What are all the other steps to the client process? Well, if you're not sure and you want to find out, you can check out this video right here. Thank you, Playbook, for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys for watching. I will see you again in another video next time. Ciao!